Alright, welcome to the part 2 lecture of creating our perspective drawing. Now, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do in this second part is I'm going to create a light source. So I'm going to go ahead and put a dot up here, and that's going to be where my light is coming from. So now I know where I want to put my shadow. So this side of my building is going to have my core shadow, and the other side of my building is going to have the mid-tone shadow. So I'm just going to fill that in now. It's important to try to keep your shading as even as possible, and I know it's really hard to keep it even, and a lot of the times you're not going to be able to make it perfect, and that's fine. Just try to keep it as even as possible. Sometimes this might mean that you have to go over it with multiple layers. It's always important to start with your biggest things first when you start drawing anything or shading things in. So always start with your biggest shapes, your biggest surfaces that you have to shade in, and then move down to smaller detail. So now we're adding in our mid-tone shadow. And notice that I'm avoiding everything on that side except for that one surface, so that if I need to, I can come back in and add different values to those. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my core shadow, which will then fade into my mid-tone shadow on that rounded cylinder. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in my core shadow on this edge since it's on that side of my perspective. I'm going to go ahead and darken in that window just a little bit. And now I can go ahead and add my core shadow to this side of my wall since it's also on the side that has my core shadow on it. And then I'll shade in this top area. And you notice the top area is a little bit lighter than my side wall. The reason for that is because it's getting bounce light, and we'll go over what bounce light is later. But for now, all you need to understand is that that's bounce light, and that's why it's brighter. Now I'm going ahead and adding in my mid-tone shadow onto this side of my wall. And then I'm going to go ahead and shade in that top area since it's going to be a little bit darker because it's curving in to the other side of my wall. Then I'm going to go ahead and darken this bottom area. This isn't any type of shadow. This is just the actual value of that part of my building. Now I'm going to go ahead and darken in that window and just make sure that everything is nice and even. Then I'm going to go ahead and darken in my roof because that's also the value of my roof. I'm going to go ahead and erase this and reshade it in because I want to keep the top area a little bit light. And then I'm just going to add in a little bit of detail in there. Then I'm going to start shading in this box over here. So this side gets the mid-tone, and then same with this other box. And then the other side gets the darker core shadow. I'm going to go ahead and grab another pencil and fill that in even better.